When sylvan shadows start to softly fade, and Luna's silver chariot takes flight, before the golden sun hath yet displayed his burning rays to banish dusky night, I hear the brook, a watery refrain, that babbles sweet beside my slumbering head. It calls me forth unto the misty plain, to leave the comfort of my downy bed. The dream world clings, a tapestry of mist, but duty whispers in the cool air's breath. By morning's chilly fingers I am kissed, as vibrant life awakens out of death. My eyes unsealed to greet the nascent day, and peaceful thoughts begin their gentle sway. Beside the hearth where embers glow so low, my faithful hound, old Barnaby, doth sigh. He stretches limbs all heavy, smooth and slow, and turns to me a loyal, sleepy eye. Upon the sill 2 felines softly creep, twin shadows born of velvet and of grace. They rouse themselves from out a deepest sleep to seek the warmth upon my waking face. The wooden floor is cold beneath my feet, a shocking touch that grounds my wandering mind. The simple scents of wood smoke rise up sweet, leaving the hazy realm of dreams behind. I don my wool against the morning chill, while all the wooded world is silent still. The heavy latch lifts up with rustic groan, and swings ajar the oaken cottage door. Into a world of verdant shadows thrown, I step upon the mossy forest floor. There runs the brook, a liquid ribbon bright, that sings its ancient song to stone and tree, reflecting back the growing pearly light in hurried rush to meet the distant sea. The air is thick with resin and with pine, a perfumed draught that clears the foggy head. No courtly hall holds grandeur such as mine, where nature's finest tapestries are spread. My spirit soars on wings of morning dew, to find in simple tasks a purpose true. The woods appear a kingdom trapped in glass, with dewdrops hanging heavy on the thorn. I tread a path through silver-laden grass, to greet the creatures waiting for the morn. The barn stands silent, wreathed in milky fog, like some old castle in a fairy tale. Accompanied by cat and faithful dog, I carry forth the shining milking pail. My mind weaves stories in the swirling mist of sprites and nymphs that dwell within the wood. By magic's subtle grandeur I am kissed, and find that every simple thing is good. The day begins not with a jarring sound, but with the peace that in these woods is found. The mist hangs low upon the water's face, a shifting veil of white and ghostly gray. It moves with slow and silent, eerie grace before the coming heat of bright midday. I walk amidst this cloud of morning breath, where trees are shadows looming tall and dim. The world seems poised twixt slumber and twixt death, until the birds begin their morning hymn. A thrush calls out from somewhere in the haze, a solitary note so clear and sweet. It speaks of summer's long and golden days, and makes my morning symphony complete. I am a ghost within this pale domain, until the sun reclaims his rule again. I reach the coop where wooden slats are tight, and hear the rustling sounds of life within. They sense the fading of the starless night, and eager for their paddling to begin. With creaking hinge the little door swings wide, and out they tumble in a feathery stream. With joy that can no longer be denied, they waddle forth as in a waking dream. Their emerald heads are catching early light, like jewels polished by the hand of God. A chaotic, quacking, delightful sight, as down the path toward the stream they plod. No soldiers march with such determined gait as ducks who know the water cannot wait. They splash into the brook with raucous glee and shatter mirrors made of glass and sky. From earthly bonds they seem at last set free to float upon the current drifting by. I cast the grain in arcs of golden rain. It patters on the bank and on the stone. They feast upon the harvest of the plain, content within a kingdom of their own. The ripples spread in circles wide and far, distorting shadows of the leaning trees, each bubble floating like a fallen star, borne gently on the morning's whispering breeze. I watch them with a smile upon my lips, as nature from her horn of plenty sips. The drake he preens his feathers with such pride, a painted king upon his liquid throne, with loyal hens attending by his side, he claims the rushing water for his own. The cold air nips my fingers and my nose, but in my heart a warmth begins to bloom, for in this simple life deep peace repose, dispersing every shadow, every gloom. To tend the least of these is to be great. To serve the creature is to serve the Lord. I stand beside the rustic garden gate and find within this scene my rich reward. The ducks float on, a fleet of living art, and leave their happy prints upon my heart. I turn my steps toward the weathered barn, where scents of sweet dry hay and straw abide, away from brook and misty river tarn, to where the larger beasts of field reside. The heavy door slides back on iron track, revealing gloom made soft by lantern's glow. I hear the chewing of a jaw going clack, and gentle breathing, rhythmic, deep and slow. The air is warm and rich with animal life, a stark contrast to outside's chilly bite. Here is a refuge from all worldly strife, a sanctuary from the cold of night. The dust motes dance within the shaft of sun that tells the work of day has just begun. My goats, they see me coming with the pail, and dance a jig upon their wooden pen. With clattering hooves and joyful wagging tail, they act as giddy children do again. With bearded chins and eyes of amber hue, they bleat their hunger to the rafters high, demanding breakfast as their rightful due, with mischief twinkling in each slotted eye. I laugh aloud at such a capron show, their energy a spark to start the fire. They bounce and butt and pace strictly to and fro, consumed by feed and grain, their one desire. I fill their trough and watch the chaos cease, replaced by munching sounds of sudden peace. But in the corner stall, calm Bessie stands, a mountain made of velvet and of bone. She waits the gentle touch of human hands with patience that to kings is rarely known. Her great brown eyes are pools of liquid deep, reflecting back a kindness pure and true. She rouses slowly from her bovine sleep and offers up a soft and gentle moo. I rest my head against her warm, wide flank and feel the steady beating of her heart. For this connection I have God to thank, that I should play this humble servant part. She shifts her weight and chews her cud in peace, and grants my soul a quiet, sweet release. I sit upon the stool of polished wood, and wash her udders with a cloth of white, to ensure the milk is clean and good, before the bucket fills with creamy light. The rhythm starts, a hiss and then a ping, as milk strike metal with a steady sound, a primal song that morning chores do sing, while cats appear from nowhere, gathering round. The steam rises up from out the foaming pail, with scent of sweet cream and of clover flower, a simple wealth that never does go stale, bestowed upon me in this early hour. The bucket fills, a heavy, frothy prize, under the watch of Bessie's gentle eyes. The barn cats weave between the bovine legs, with tails held high in silent begging plea. They care not for the ducks or for the eggs, but crave the white foam as their morning fee. I pour a saucer for the feline pair, who lap it up with purrs like rumbling drums. Contentment fills the dusty golden air, as through the cracks the morning sunlight comes. The work is hard, yet heavy with reward, not gold or silver minted in a mill, but gifts that nature's bounty does afford to those who have the patience and the will. With full pail in my hand I rise to go, leaving the barn in morning's amber glow. The heavy oaken door I slide shut tight, and leave the beasts in peaceful calm repose. The pail of milk is heavy, warm and white, as up the path the winding journey goes. Now Barnaby shakes off his sleepy ways, no longer just a shadow at my heel. He scans the woods with sharp and steady gaze, his duty as a guardian to feel. He trots ahead with purpose in his stride, to check the boundaries of our small domain. With golden coat and chest puffed out with pride, he surveys every hill and every plain. The major labor of the morn is through, but he has still important work to do. We walk along the weathered cedar fence that marks the edge of tamed and wild land. The morning light becomes more sharp and dense as unseen forces move the misty hand. The fog retreats into the deepest shade, revealing mossy stones and vibrant green. A sunlit carpet on the floor is laid, where moments past only the gray was seen. My canine friend, he sniffs the damp, dark earth, reading the stories left by creatures small. He catalogues what passed here since the birth of dawn, and sends a warning, throaty call. The woods are waking up in glorious gold, a timeless story that is daily told. I pause beside an ancient twisting oak, its branches reaching up like gnarled hands. Before the noisy world has fully woke, I gaze upon these peaceful wooded lands. No carriage wheels disdain this quiet track, no merchant's cries to assault the ear. There is no turning of my spirit back from all the simple joys I gather here. The air is cleaner than the finest wine. It fills my lungs with pure and frosty grace. I see the intricate and grand design reflected in this solitary space. My soul is still, my heart begins to mend, with solitude my oldest, truest friend. The circuit made, we turn our faces home, where thin blue smoke arises from the stack. No longer do we feel the need to roam. We trace our footprints on the muddy track. The pail of milk grows heavier in my grip, a burden sweet of morning's honest toil. I taste the salty sweat upon my lip, a partner with the sun and with the soil. My faithful guard runs on ahead of me to sit before the little cottage door. He waits for entrance, happy to be free from duty's call until the night once more. The promise of the hearth begins to pull, with harvest gathered and my heart quite full. The iron latch lifts with a metal click. I cross the threshold into air so sweet. The fire consumes the maple log and stick, and chases from my bones the morning sleet. The kettle sings a whistle soft and low upon the crane above the orange flame. I bask within the hearth fire's gentle glow and whisper praises to the Maker's name. The heavy pail finds rest upon the slate. The creamy foam has settled in the cold. I close the heavy wooden entry gate to keep the cozy warmth within the fold. The cottage hugs me like a woolen wrap as Barnaby settles for his morning nap. I take the cheesecloth, woven fine and white, and pour the milk into the earthen jar. It flows in streams of pure and liquid light, more precious than the rarest metals are. A portion for the skillet I do save, to mix with flour and a golden yolk. No rich and royal banquet do I crave, amidst the smell of butter and of smoke. The batter sizzles in the iron pan, a simple cake to break the fast of night. Since time and history of man began, there is no greater, pure, or simple delight. I plate the meal upon a dish of clay to fuel the labor of the coming day. The feline pair has found the rug again and curled into a knot of fur and sleep. They care not for the frost upon the fen, but for the fire's warmth they aim to keep. A shaft of light breaks through the window pane, illuminating dust in golden swirling. The silence settles like a soft refrain around the edges of my spirit curling. I sit beside the table made of pine and sip the milk so creamy, rich, and cold. This quiet, holy hour is truly mine, before the busy stories can unfold. The peace of God is in this humble room, dispelling every trace of doubt and gloom. Outside I hear the brook continues on, its babbling voice a constant soothing sound. The heavy veil of morning mist is gone, and bright and vivid colors coat the ground. My heart is anchored in this simple place, far from the city's noise and frantic pace. I've found the rhythms of a steady grace, and see my Savior in creation's face. The chores are done, the morning meal is through, the day stretches out with promise wide. With strength and spirit made entirely new, I have no need to run, no need to hide. I rise to meet the sun with joy unseen, the queen of this my woodland bright domain. The sun begins to bow his golden head, and sink behind the wall of western pine. The vibrant blue is stained with streaks of red, turning the horizon to a spill of wine. The shadows stretch like fingers, dark and long, across the furrowed earth and grassy field. The birds begin to sing their closing song, as day begins its sovereignty to yield. A hush descends upon the cooling land, a heavy drape of amber, thick and soft, held gently in the twilight's mystic hand, while early stars prepare to hang aloft. The frantic pace of noon has slipped away, replaced by quiet grace of ending day. I stand within the garden's leafy bounds, my basket heavy with the roots and greens, surrounded by the evening's muffled sounds, amidst the squash and trellis-climbing beans. The dirt is cool against my weary palm, a grounding touch that signals labor's end. The twilight brings a medicating balm to every broken spirit it does tend. The orange light ignites the pumpkin skin and turns the kale to ruffles made of bronze. The nocturnal symphony will soon begin across the meadows and the darkened lawns. I lift the latch and leave the gate behind, with fruits of labor for the winter stored. The brook now sings a deeper, throatier tune than that which bubbled in the morning bright, reflecting back the rising pale half-moon, a silver ribbon in the failing light. The water rushes past the mossy stone with urgency to reach the river wide. It speaks in whispers, intimate and lone, of secrets that the forest tries to hide. The air grows crisp and kisses close the skin, a shiver that is pleasant, not of fear, as Barnaby, my shadow and my kin, pricks up his ears the hooting owl to hear. We pause to watch the water's endless flow, bathed in the sunset's dying ember glow. The woods become a temple built of trees, with stained glass windows made of leaves and light. I feel the gentle vesper whispering breeze that ushers in the holy silent night. The trunks stand black against the purple sky, like pillars in a grand and ancient hall, where nature's silent prayers ascend on high, before the darkness settles over all. There is no gold in cities or in mines that rivals this fleeting magic hour, where God's own glory in the sunset shines and demonstrates his beauty and his power. With basket full, I turn toward the shed to put the farm and all its beasts to bed. The stream is dyed in ink and indigo, where drift the snowy shapes of duck and drake. The current moves along so deep and slow, leaving a silver ripple in its wake. I stand upon the bank and softly call a familiar summons they have known so long. It echoes 'gainst the trees so dark and tall, a simple note within the evening song. They turn their heads with unison and grace and paddle toward the safety of the shore, to leave the wild and watery open space and seek the shelter of the wooden door. The instinct drives them from the dangerous deep to find their rest in heavy, dreamless sleep. One by one they waddle up the bank, with feathers sleek and wet against the side, in single file, a somber, silent rank, with no more need to frolic or to hide. The drake he leads the way with weary head, his emerald crown is dimmed by twilight's gray. He knows the path leads to a straw-lined bed, to rest the labors of the passing day. My faithful hound he watches them go past, and keeps a distance with a gentle eye, to ensure that none are lost or left as last, beneath the watching of the darkening sky. A solemn march of nature's simple kind, leaving the freedom of the brook behind. The ramp is climbed with soft and slapping feet, and into shadows of the coop they go, where straw and cedar scents arise up sweet, a fortress 'gainst the winter and the snow. I hear the rustling as they find their place, a quiet murmur and a contented sigh. They tuck their bills within a warm embrace and bid the world outside a soft goodbye. No fox or owl can breach this sturdy wall, no weasel creeping in the dead of night.
They answer to the ancient wild call, to hide away until the morning light. The steward's pact is sealed with dry grain, protecting them from predator and rain. I swing the wooden door and hold it fast. The hinges groan a low and sleepy sound. The dangers of the dark are gone and past, for those who sleep secure upon the ground. The metal bolt slides home with heavy click, a sound of safety in the gathering gloom. It stands against the forest, dense and thick, a tiny, wooden, safe and warm-lit room. I pat the wood, a silent rest ye well, and turn my back upon the rushing stream. The evening weaves its soporific spell, like walking through the edges of a dream. One duty done, the day is shrinking tight, as we embrace the coming of the night.
The coop is shut. I turn to face the barn that looms a shadow 'gainst the violet sky. No longer does it look like weathered yarn, but like a ship that anchors dry and high. I slide the door and step into the warm. The scent of alfalfa greets me at the gate, a shelter from the coming winter storm, where hungry beast and bovine patience wait. The lantern strikes a match against the black and paints the walls in gold and dancing flame, pushing the shadows of the evening back and calling every creature by its name. The silence here is heavy, rich, and deep, a lullaby before the time of sleep. My goats no longer dance a caprine jig, nor butt their heads in playful wild spar. They do not care for branch or tender twig, but seek the manger where the oat grains are. They wait within the shadows of the pen, with heavy lids and soft, expectant bleat, like weary and hard-working little men who crave the rest for tired, cloven feet. I pour the feed into the wooden trough. It rattles down like rain on cedar roof. They settle in, their humber falling off, with quiet munching, distinct and aloof. The straw feels soft beneath their folded knees as they find shelter from the cooling breeze. And there stands Bessie, mountainous and wide, a silhouette of peace within the stall. She turns her head with slow and gentle pride to answer to my soft and evening call. The steam arises from her nostrils wet, a fog of life that hangs upon the air. All worldly troubles I can now forget, while stroking down her coarse and winter hair. She does not ask for milk or labor now, but only for the comfort of the hay. This noble, great, and gentle-hearted cow, content to end the long and grazing day. Her rhythm is the heartbeat of the farm, protecting us from worry and from harm. The sound of grinding teeth and shifting weight becomes a music soothing to the ear. I lean against the heavy wooden gate and feel the Spirit of the Lord is near. For in this manger, humble and obscure, a sense of sacred holiness is found, a love that is so simple and so pure, amidst the straw upon the dusty ground. I check the water, clear and cool and deep, and pile the bedding high for warmth and rest, leaving my creatures to their rightful sleep, by nature and by labor fully blessed. The barn is sealed against the starry gome, as I turn back toward my human home. The heavy latch is thrown upon the gate, and silence rushes in to fill the space. The hour is growing solemn, dark, and late, as night begins its slow and cool embrace. The air has turned from gold to steel and blue, and bites the cheek with teeth of sudden frost. The world is washed in shades of darker hue, where boundaries of the wood and field are lost. My breath ascends in clouds of phantom white, a fleeing spirit vanishing in air. We walk into the kingdom of the night to offer up a silent walking prayer. Old Barnaby, he treads with padded feet to make the circuit of the farm complete. High overhead the canvas stretches wide, a velvet cloth of infinite design. Where daylight's ruler has no place to hide, the first bright star begins to burn and shine. It hangs alone, a diamond in the deep, the evening star, the herald of the rest, watching the world settle down to sleep, a jewel pinned upon the twilight's vest. And then the moon begins her slow ascent, entangled in the branches of the pine, a pearl of great and wondrous intent, turning the leaves to silver, cold and fine. I gaze upon this vast and cosmic show, and feel the peace of heaven here below. The songs of day have faded with the sun. The thrush and robin hide within the bough. A different ancient music has begun, the soundtrack of the shadow starting now. The cricket draws his bow across the string, a rhythmic chirping from the tall dry grass. The frogs begin their bass note murmuring, watching the silent silver water pass. It is a symphony of minor keys that vibrates through the cool and dampening ground, carried upon the whisper of the breeze, a comforting and steady earthy sound. I listen to the pulse of creation beat, here in this wild and solitary seat. We trace the fence line, mossy, old, and gray, the final check before we go inside, to wash the dust and labor of the day, and in the warmth of home and hearth to hide. The woods are deep and full of secrets now, but fear finds no deep root within my breast. To nature's rhythm I do humbly bow, and trust the Maker for my nightly rest. I see the cottage window glowing bright, an orange beacon calling through the gloom, a promise of the fire's cheery light, and comfort of my simple living room. Come, Barnaby, the work is fully done, and rest awaits the setting of the sun.
The iron bolt slides home with heavy thud, and seals the castle from the sea of black. I scrape the garden soil and river mud from off my boots and weary, aching back. The fire is low, a bed of pulsing red. I stir the coals to wake the sleeping heat, and knowing that the livestock all are fed, my evening satisfaction is complete. The cottage wraps me in a cloak of wood, secure against the owl's lonely cry. I understand that life is whole and good beneath the watching of the Father's eye. The world outside may spin in dark and cold, but here is warmth and safety for the fold. I strike the match against the rough brick stone and watch the sulphur flare into a spark, a tiny sun that I command alone to drive away the shadows of the dark. The candle wick takes hold of yellow fire and casts a glow upon the wooden walls. Here is the limit of my heart's desire within these humble, rustic, narrow halls. The scent of beeswax mingles with the smoke, a perfume for the closing of the day. I cast aside my heavy woolen cloak and feel the tension softly melt away.
a golden island in a sea of night, bathed in the soft and flickering candlelight. Old Barnaby lets out a heavy groan and drops his head upon his folded paws. He dreams of chasing rabbits and the bone, obeying only nature's simple laws. The cats are curled upon the quilted chair, two balls of fur in orange and in gray. They do not have a single worry, care, or thought about the trials of the day. I sink into the cushion, soft and deep, and feel the pull of slumber on my mind. The promise of a dark and dreamless sleep is the reward that honest labor finds. The house is breathing in a rhythm slow, illuminated by the embers' glow. Outside the window only brook remains to sing its water song into the gloom. It washes past the hills and grassy plains, while silence fills my quiet living room. My hands are rough from handling hay and earth, my muscles tired from the heavy pail, but I have found a treasure of great worth, a joy that does not falter, does not fail. I blow the candle out and darkness falls, but fear is absent from this holy place. Sleep comes to visit in these wooden walls and covers me with heavy, restful grace. The day is done, the night has come to keep the sylvan world in safety and in sleep.